Katie Pavlich from Town Hall will join us actually right now. Katie is with us. Katie, how are you?
Good morning. How's it going? Or not morning, afternoon. It's afternoon now.
I was going to say, where are you?
Yeah.
Maybe joining us from someplace wonderful like Hawaii, maybe, or Alaska. No, good afternoon. It has been it's been a long day, Katie. It seems like it was yesterday when we got the news about the Iranian deal, and of course, we have seen anti-gun groups talking all this week, as you write, about the non-existent background check loophole in our system, and Everytown for Gun Safety going after Cabela's. Saying Cabela's is selling guns without background checks. I mean, this is what is going on here, Katie?
So, in light of Charleston, of course, Michael Bloomberg has sent out his little minion, Shannon Watts, to make false claims about background checks. And the latest thing that they're capitalizing on is the FBI saying that it is basically their fault that Dylan Roof got his hands on a gun and wasn't supposed to, but they're not doing it in a way that's honest. They're basically blaming a non-existent background check loophole, saying that Dylan Roof didn't pass a background check when he did, and accusing Cabela's of selling to people who fail background checks. Which is just not true. And it goes back to the basic notion that we often find with anti-gun people, not just Everytown and Shannon Watts, who's making a lot of money based on just making things up, that anti-gun people really just don't understand how the process works. It's very obvious that they have never even attempted to purchase a firearm or that they've never gone through the NICS system or the FBI background check system. It's like they think there's a person on the other end of the line instead of a computer or something. It's like they have no idea how it works. And I think that Cabela's actually has a possible legal case in the sense of, looking at Everytown and saying, why are you accusing us of selling guns to people who fail a background check? Because, by the way, that's illegal as an FFL.
Yeah, and I'm looking here at the website for Cabela's here, and they say customers must complete the federal ATF Form 4473 and pass the required Brady Act background check before a firearm can be transferred. That's a federal regulation. That's for every FFL. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right. And so, right, exactly. And so, again, it just goes, we're in this position where the left is constantly screaming and Bloomberg's groups, whichever one you want to name, and they change their names all the time, are constantly screaming about expanded background checks, right? Universal background checks, which really, as we know, is they're in for universal registration and ultimately gun bans. I mean, that's what their ultimate goal is. So in the case of Charleston, when it doesn't fit their narrative, not only are they sending out fundraising emails saying that Dylan Roof passed or did not pass a background check, but the gun was sold to him anyway, which is not true. They're now just continually asking for background checks when the FBI admitted a mistake. They're blaming the NRA and claiming that the NRA supported a loophole that allowed Dylan Roof to get his gun when in the first place there was no loophole to support. And it really is at the level of just making things up. There's no in between here. You either pass a background check or you don't. And if you don't get to purchase your firearm. And it's just very obvious that they really don't understand how the system works, and if they do, they're lying about it on purpose.
Yeah. Now they're talking again about if a background check does not come back within 3 days, then the purchase can take place. They're saying that Cabela should not follow that law, that they should go beyond here. But I'm looking at the FBI's website, and they can issue. Katie, a delay response, right? I mean, when you go in to purchase a firearm and the background check is conducted, if there are questions, in fact, the FBI says that a delay may come up from the FBI Criminal Justice Information Services Division National Instant Criminal Background Check System. It indicates that either you or another individual with a similar name and or a similar descriptive feature has been matched with either state prohibitive criteria or one or more of the following federally prohibitive criteria. And then they lay out all of those prohibitions. So you can get a delay, right? You can go and you submit the 4473 and it'll come back. Oh, sorry, this has been delayed. And then you don't get that. When a delay response is received, the FBI says, this indicates that information supplied on the BATFE's Form 4473 has been matched with the information contained in the NICS system. Complete information is not always available. A further review of these records is necessary. NICS exhausts all efforts to retrieve current record information by contacting law enforcement agencies. We don't know, at least I'm not aware of whether or not a delay response was actually given in this particular case. But again, these are the rules that are written by the BATFE. This is actually not written by the BATFE, but these are the laws that are on the books, have been on the books for days and days. The Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act of 1993 allows 3 business days to obtain this information prior to the transfer of the firearm. This 3-day period, and then you can sell the firearm if nothing has come back, comes from the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act of 1993. Anti-gun activists are blaming the NRA for the Brady Bill.
Yeah, for 20 years it's been in place, which they clearly don't understand. But it goes back to the bottom line and the basic principle of this. Every town and those like them are not interested in fixing the problem. They're not asking why it is that the FBI is admitting that it's their fault that Dylan Roof got his hands on a gun when he shouldn't have. They're not trying to actually fix the background check system. They're not trying to make sure that records of charges of felonies in states are inserted into the federal NICS system. In fact, I wrote a story 2 weeks ago about how every town is now trying to take credit for all of the work that the NSSF has done to actually clean up the background check system and to try and get states to enter information into the federal system so people like this can't get their hands on their guns. It goes to the basis of their agenda, which is to attack the NRA, and actually has nothing to do with gun safety. It has everything to do with finding anyone but who's responsible and the people who are incompetent, which was the government in this case, and not actually just solving the problem of maybe how did this happen and how can we prevent it from happening again. They should be knocking on the door of the FBI, not blaming the NRA for a non-existent loophole that they claim they supported, but they can't support it if it never existed, which is exactly what the problem is here.
Yeah, listen, I'm right there with you. And, look, we do know this. Anti-gun activists are not going to talk. I mean, as you say, it doesn't benefit them to talk about fixing the background check system because they want to talk about expanding the background check system. And if you talk about the need to fix it while you're also talking about expanding it, right? I mean, that's at cross purposes. Why expand something that's broken? Fix the system before you even talk about expanding this. That doesn't serve their purposes. They want people to think that that the background check system is the end-all, be-all, that if we have a background check system in place for every transfer of a firearm, that somehow the criminals are going to magically obey that law, right? And that this is going to reduce violent crime. And, of course, it will have no impact whatsoever on law-abiding gun owners around the country.
Well, and the point is, too, that they're making up this loophole that they're talking about, right? They're basically equating FBI incompetence as a loophole because the reason they're doing that is because if there's a loophole, then, of course, a loophole requires legislation to fix said loophole, right? Whereas in this case, there isn't really a loophole, and because of the way things work in Washington and in the media, no one's really going to question if that loophole is actually a real loophole. They're just going to scream about expanded background checks that they clearly can't enforce in the first place anyway or keep straight when it comes to preventing gun violence and the gun violence that these groups claim to want to prevent. I mean, if there is a loophole that they claim is there, then the obvious fix is more gun control, which is exactly what their goal is.
Katie Pavlich from Town Hall. Listen, I appreciate you coming on the program. It's good talking with you as always.
You too. Have a great week.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon. Katie Pavlich with us. You can find her piece about the gun control groups lying about the non-existent background check loophole at townhall.com.